No, I listen to it all the time. I tell all my friends to smack it raw.
Following podcast contains mature content. The views and opinions expressed by the host are not necessarily those of the host. Listener discretion is advised. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Smackin' Raw podcast, episode 157. I am your host, the Warden, Matt Ritter, and I am back with my favorite inmate and co-host, Sir Cussalott, Travis Pointer, a.k.a. Super Saiyan 2 Black Nappa, and that's all he's getting this week. And our very special guest this week, I told you, that is now your new a.k.a. That is the only one you get. We are cutting the rest off because Super Saiyan 2 Black Nappa is just it. Our very special guest host from A Kenny for Your Thoughts. Oh my God, we booked Kenny. We are bastards. Kenny, what's going on, man?
What's going on? I think you're the only person, I've never said this because I don't like to down other people, but I think you're the only person who's actually said A Kenny for Your Thoughts properly. For some reason, every time I've been on a podcast, people say A Kenny from Your Thoughts.
That's
and I don't correct them because I'm not a dick, but hey, we're on Pornhub. Fuck it, I'll say what I want.
I was gonna say it's not the saying. The saying is a penny for your thoughts. You're a
Thank
penny
you,
for your thoughts.
But you see, that's why I'm here, because when you asked me, I was like, oh, finally some guys I get along with, and this is awesome. I vibe with you all. And we talked about it before, but you're very similar to Brandon and I, where you can just fuck around, have a drink on air, and talk some wrestling, but have fun with it too.
Speaking of fucking around, I see his face. So, Sir Cussalott, Travis Pointer, a.k.a. the Dragon King, a.k.a. Big T, a.k.a. Sweet T, a.k.a. Black Merlin, a.k.a. the HNIC.
How you doing?
There we go. Now they'll say hi. A little inside baseball for everyone. So, obviously, we've had a slew of special guests on the podcast recently. We've had the Deadass Girls. We've had TC from Young Kings Wrestling. Obviously, our boys over at Smack Raw, especially Vince. The Get Yo podcast. I had Fowl on. Now we've got Kenny. So the way I work, because I do all the booking for the show. Yeah, Benji. Well, I had fuck Benji.
I mean, I hear you, but like he was late too, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, he's always late. Yeah. The way I do bookings is if you guys let us know that you fuck with our podcast, then I will fuck with your podcast. So if you come hit me up on Twitter and say, hey, you enjoy the show, or you listen to it, or you say, hey, go check this podcast out. We think they're really cool. I appreciate that, and then I go and I listen to your podcast, and if I like your podcast, I'm going to shout you out, which is why you see me shouting out all these podcasts, the Two Sweet podcasts, those wrestling girls, all these people who have shown us love. We want to show the love back, and the reason we had Kenny on this week is not only is he really, really cool, but he is also into philanthropy. He's a Presbyterian, from what I heard this morning, but also into philanthropy, and it's something I really appreciate, the way you've kind of been giving back to the community, man.
It's funny. It's funny you say it like that. First of all, I appreciate that, but it's funny. It's almost like, I don't want to say cringy, but like when you say, oh, giving back to the community, I view it as like, aren't we all supposed to be like that? You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, so I almost don't pat myself on the back as much as I say, like, just that's how we should all be. And we'll all meet each other at the top,
Yeah. Well, some of us will meet each other at the top, like you said today.
Some of us might be too drunk off tequila to get to the top, but
yeah. I'll get there.
He's gonna be the first there. So, no pain, no gain, baby.
Is there tequila at the top?
If you guys are new to the Smackin' Raw podcast, because Kenny's here and you're a fan of Kenny's and you're like, hey, what the fuck is he doing with these guys? We kick off every show with a little thing about Black Lives Matter, and I've actually got something I want to talk about this week on top of me promoting Young Kings Wrestling and their t-shirt, which I'll get to, but I saw something on Facebook that I absolutely loved, and I'm basically just going to break it down, this meme. So basically it's saying that some of the people who are very vocal right now about complaining about having to wear masks and the way they're being treated and not being served in stores and all that are the same people who tell people of color or women that if they dress a certain way or they choose to go out and dress a certain way in public, whatever bad things happen to them because it's their choice. They chose to dress that way. So if you dress provocatively and, you know, you get harassed or raped or any of the stuff, it's your fault because you dress that way. If you dress, you know, if you sag your pants and you get profiled, you get pulled over, it's your fault because you dress this way. But these same people are now very, very upset that they're being told, hey, you need to wear a mask. And if you don't wear a mask, you're not going to get served. And it's like, well, how dare you tell me how I have to dress, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you guys can't see the parallel there, if you're one of these people who say those things to people of color or women or just anyone in general and judge them for the way they dress and tell them anything that bad that happens to you, you made the choice to dress that way, that's on you. But don't understand that there's a public health crisis where doctors and nurses and public health officials are out here saying, hey, please do this not just for yourself, but others. And you're like, no, fuck that. And you want to be treated, you know, as if you know, you're fine for dressing however you want. If you don't see the dichotomy there, like, I can't relate with you as a person.
Yeah, it's a two-way street. The funny part is I actually made this point. I work in a retail store, and so of course we've had our fair share of people coming in and saying, you know, oh, you can't tell me to wear a mask. I'm like, yeah, it's my right to not wear a mask. I said it is until you get into the store, and then we have a right to refuse you service based on that, because it's a two-way street. It's not just what you want all the time. And this is America. It's the land of freedom. We all have choices.
They forget that the
that.
store is actually private property.
Correct. Exactly. And I could probably go a lot deeper than this, especially I'm sure you've heard past episodes, you know, Black Lives Matter is a huge thing with me. Recently, without going to a huge story, recently the killing of Cannon Hinnon, I think is his name, the 5-year-old boy who was gunned down. I hate to say it, but you get to see a lot of people on the All Lives Matter side kind of come out and say, well, you see, people, we should be talking about him. And it's like, well, you just basically told me you're racist is essentially what it is. Because you're so defensive. You instantly go, this guy's murderer was arrested right away. That's the point. He was arrested right away, and he's going to be brought to justice for a heinous crime. And you're politicizing this young boy's death, who rest in peace to this kid. And yet it's showing me that you can't understand what the movement is about. You know, it's literally that energy that you're having for him. That's what we want. That's what Black Lives Matter is.
For everyone.
For everyone. A lot of times too, I hear a lot of people, you know, half of the people that say all lives matter, they don't understand that they're fighting for the same thing. They're just using the wrong words sometimes. A lot of people, you say, why do you say all lives matter? They're like, because everyone's equal. Exactly.
And that's why we're saying Black Lives Matter.
Right.
But not everyone's treated equal, so we need to focus on the people who are clearly not being treated equal and work on that aspect. That's all we're asking. We're not asking for you to treat them special or better than anyone else. They just want to be treated equal.
Treated equally. And I think the term a lot of people don't realize, a lot of people get caught in the term equality. The term that I want everyone to look up is equity, because a lot of the times if, you know, you have the Black community feeling like they're here, equity means to give a little bit of a boost so that we all get to the same level. And that's what we're striving for here, is equity, to get everybody in the same level. Because if somebody's this short and somebody's this tall and they're both looking over a fence, this person's going to need a boost to get up there so that we can all see things from the same perspective. So anyway,
take the fence out.
Or take the damn fence out. Yeah, you're right.
All right. So if you guys rock with us, if you guys fuck with us, please go check out my Twitter, my pinned tweet. It is at Matt Ritter. That is at MATTRIDDER. That pinned tweet is a link to go purchase the Young Kings Wrestling Black Lives Matter shirt. So it is an NWO style shirt with the Black Lives Matter lettering. And the money that they receive from the proceeds from that shirt is being donated back to the cause, to support organizations that support the Black Lives Matter movement, that they have researched and looked up so that they're using the money appropriately. So please go support them and go support that. And as always, as we say, if there are protests and you can protest, please go protest and do so safely. If there are petitions, sign petitions. There are still plenty of people out there who were unjustly murdered without due process, whose murderers have not been brought to justice, who have not been tried, who have not been arrested, that need to be held accountable for their actions. And if you can donate, go donate. Or if you have a platform like we do, in any way, shape, or form. Any little bit you can do to help better this country, this world that we live in, for everyone, would be appreciated.
Well said.
Go. Yeah,
Thank
man.
you guys. All right. Well, hey, let's get into some fun shit. Travis,
Yes, sir.
we didn't get hit for a copyright for Shaggy, did we?
We didn't. I
Okay.
was surprised.
Well, let's see if I can fuck that up this week. Why don't you go ahead and slide into Sasha's DMs with that panda gif?
I shall.
And I see it. I really want to hear the words. Okay. So we got a panda. It's a cartoon panda. Looks like he's sitting on a bed, pushing his chubby cheeks up adorably. Sasha still has not responded to any of Travis's advances via panda gif.
Why the hell not?
Well, if she does, it's gonna end the segment, and it's gonna kind of ruin the streak we have. So
Her lack of response is a response, sir.
it's really helping.
So now, so now I'm like, I was like, maybe I should help these guys out, get her to respond, find a way. But now I feel like I'd be like burying you by doing that because I'd kill one of your segments.
You would.
But any podcast that has K7 playing on it, it just makes me happy. So I mean, I'm ecstatic right now.
We're on the Smackin' Raw podcast, the #1 podcast on Pornhub, and it's only fitting that K7 and that song specifically has very fond 13-year-old childhood memories of that Divas bikini photo shoot that they used the song for the first time I heard it with Lita and Tori and Stacy. I still remember that visual to this day. When I was a young man, just spraying seed all over magazine covers and boxer shorts. So.
I still got like Divas and Hedonism and Divas Undressed and stuff. Like there's DVDs. I literally can see them right now from my living room. They're hidden over there. I don't know why I have them so accessible. Actually,
I remember recording that Divas Undressed, like the competition or whatever.
You recorded for Rico, right? At the end.
Yes. That's exactly why I recorded. But yeah, man, I remember recording the shit. Like I remember having the tape. Yeah, tape and the VCR, kids.
Tape. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into these news and rumors. So first and foremost, a moment of silence for Kamala, who passed away. WWE has not acknowledged it, surprisingly, on TV.
They did. At
Did
the
they?
beginning of the show. Yeah.
I must have missed it. I must
They
have
put up the card at the beginning of the show, the RIP and all that. Yeah, they did.
You were too busy. The K7 song was busy playing in your head and thinking about that Divas package. That's all.
I was planning that too at that time. So, all right, a moment of silence, real quick, for Kamala. All right, so first and foremost, because she's my favorite and I've got her shirt on, I don't know if you can see it. Shotzi got robbed. Someone stole her car, and in her car had her gear, her helmet, which she got after, it was hanging up when she was training. She saw it. She asked her trainers for it when she concluded her training. It's been with her. Her ring gear was in the trunk, all of this. She got her car back. She got her helmet back. Thank God, because that was the most important thing to her. There's a video going around of her just clutching the helmet and her toothbrush. Just so happy.
In her gear too, no
Yes.
less, which is really funny to see, like, someone in their gear in real life or something. It's funny.
So despite Travis's, incessant claims that she doesn't have a tank because it's not good enough for Hulu, so
I have never seen the tank come down to the ring.
We are happy that Shotzi got her shit back. Brandy Rhodes, because we didn't talk about this last week, ran off Twitter. Cody might be on the verge of it. All over the AEW heels conversation and people attacking her, and it got very misconstrued because, and I've tried explaining this to a few people, AEW heels is a community created for women who are fans of wrestling. It is not necessarily about the AEW women's division. It is not about women's wrestlers or fans of women's wrestling. It is a community specifically for women who are fans of wrestling, whether it's male wrestling or female wrestling or intergender wrestling or tag team wrestling, just a safe space away from all of us creepy men who jacked off to fucking Divas and Hedonism at 13 and cheered for bra and panties matches and got
at 13 or 23 or
whatever
33, you know.
Got really disappointed when they took the dancers off Raw Underground,
10.
Us guys, like, to get those women their own safe space so they can talk. And also they have a bunch of different things for a $50 a year price point, Zoom calls and conferences and marketing strategies and things like that. Well, she just got attacked. And then anytime she responded, people went after her for the way she responded, because she is a character, but she's also supposed to be representing a brand, and those lines get mixed. And it's, well, you shouldn't say this, but you're also supposed to be a character, and you should not break it. Like, it was a whole fucking thing, and it drove me nuts.
So let's recap. So essentially, AEW Heels was created to be a safe space for women, and then wrestling Twitter, all the toxic males decided to show the women exactly why they need a damn safe space to talk amongst each other, because men apparently, as a general statement, I'm not even talking about the three of us, but men as a general statement misinterpreted this shit to be about the women's division. It's like, yeah, it's cool. I get it. You're critical of the women's division. I am too. There are certain things in AEW that I want better for the women, but that's not what AEW Heels was about at all. It literally was like, here's a big Zoom call for all female wrestling fans to come talk and share, share cookies and drinks and talk, and, like, you know what I mean? Like a meeting per se, but a virtual meeting. But no, male fans were like, no, F that. Women can't have their own thing.
Yeah, because clearly
Twitter, man.
That's why I said, I said this from the get-go, I don't have an opinion on the price point or what's offered for that price point, because it's not for me.
Right.
Shouldn't have an opinion on what they are doing with AEW Heels if you can't even subscribe to the service.
Yeah. I don't have an opinion on shit that has nothing to do with me.
Not only that, though, we as males don't need, we know our privilege, which is like, we don't need to go pay $50 a year for a damn safe space, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, let them have it. Like, shit, $50. They were literally having to pay money to get away from you toxic ass people, and you're showing them why they shouldn't be here. So Brandy Rose basically was like, F Twitter, I'm going to AEW Heels full time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fuck it. I feel you.
Ken Shamrock tweeted out that he wanted to come on Raw Underground and he would help make it legit. He had some ideas for that. He wants to be a part of Raw Underground, and he got a little backlash for that with some of the stuff he's done on Impact recently. You guys interested?
He is on Impact again.
Shamrock come back for Raw Underground and put on some shoot matches?
I'm very opinionated on Ken Shamrock, because I always feel like I never understand why Ken Shamrock doesn't get enough love. And what I mean by that is, like, UFC, Dana White has something against him. So he's like in the UFC history book, there's literally a book where it's like his career is just glossed over. And WWE, same thing. He was the guy, the catalyst for, like, The Rock. Like, I'm talking about, like, got The Rock to the next level, was in huge feuds. I mean, to put it this way, Ken Shamrock was so big that he was involved in the Stephanie McMahon abduction storyline at one point, which was the hottest angle on Raw. I mean, and yet you would never know that he was in WWE. So it's like, I don't get what the hate is for Ken Shamrock, because he brought legitimacy to the WWF at the time, but with his UFC career, and then UFC doesn't care about him either. So it's like, damn.
I don't know about what's up with UFC, but I think what's happening with WWE is he, unfortunately, was there at the same time as The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker and Kane and Mick Foley and all these other people. And when you're there at the same time as those people, it's kind of easy to get lost in the shuffle, you know?
See, I would agree with you until you realize someone like a Kurt Angle came in and disrupted that whole theory, because Kurt Angle came in at a time where all these guys were hot, and they put the rocket busters on.
That was on the tail end, though.
Does Ken Shamrock have the personality that Kurt Angle had?
Correct.
That's
but
true.
I have a feeling, right, that Ken Shamrock's a hothead, that he might have said F you to a couple storylines. And so that it's definitely like, I'll give you an example.
No doubt.
All the rumors of he was supposed to have an incest angle with Ryan Shamrock, of all of that. and basically him saying, "Fuck that! I'm not gonna do a incest angle." And then that probably was like, "Damn it! If you're not gonna fuck your sister, get the fuck out of my company." You know, like that kind of shit. So, like,
I could see Vince saying that too, like 100%.
Vince would fuck his sister on TV. I'm saying
he fucking made comments about wanting to fuck his daughter on TV.
Yeah,
like,
see?
that was a whole thing. So
he and Trump got something in common. Anyway, go on.
Last but not least, Fosse put on a COVID concert and people lost their shit. So Jericho has just been fucking with the IWC left and right with the demo god stuff, and people are they're biting it so hard, like buying into everything. Like, this is really Chris Jericho and this are really his opinions and he believes this, and how could he think that AEW can compete with Raw or SmackDown, and why does he keep talking? He keeps doing it because he's a heel and because it pisses you guys off and you complain every time he says something about the demos or he calls himself the demo god. The more you get upset about it, the more he's going to do it. Now, I think you said it. Jericho's going to be fine up on stage during his COVID concert.
Yeah,
he is isolated with everyone in his band, away from everyone. If you're going to be mad at the people, be mad at the people that bought tickets to go to the concert and sat around other people for the concert. Don't be mad at the guy who put it on. You, again, have a choice.
These things won't happen if people don't pay for them.
Listen, I love movies. I am a huge horror movie fan. I love movies. There are movies that are supposed to come out that I'm excited for. I'm not going to go to a theater until this COVID shit's done because I don't want to put myself at risk of getting sick and then bringing that home, or taking my pregnant wife out in that and getting her sick as well. Like, I'm taking precautions no matter how much I want to go do these things. I'll wait till it comes out on video on demand and I'll watch it from the house. And if it's out for $20, I'll pay $20 and watch it from my couch, as opposed to paying that $20-$30 to go watch it in the theater. It's not the same, but I'm going to do it. So you guys have a choice. So be mad at the people that chose to go and not the man that put on a concert.
I still was mad at Jericho, to be honest with you, because I said, because Brandon made this point on our podcast where he was like, well, you know, Jericho, it's not really Jericho's fault. I said, yeah, but Jericho has enough influence with his voice that he probably could have said, if you're not here with a mask, I don't want you at my fucking show. You know, it's as simple as that. So that's where I don't give Chris Jericho an excuse, because he could have told the venue, this is what I want, or else we're not performing. So I feel like he needs to be more responsible. And I get that the lines are blurred on his social media, because I always call it kayfabe 2.0 on my podcast, which is the only way to get heat in professional wrestling is to actually get heat now in a real life sense as a person. But this one goes a little bit too far, because it's like, come on now. Be responsible.
I hear you on that, but at the same time, it still comes down to people being responsible for themselves.
Absolutely.
So it's just like, yeah, he could have done that, but at the same time, all these people that showed up at this place without a mask, yeah, do better.
Yeah. Isn't
Brandon out right now at a adult establishment spending, you know, the money he makes from your podcast?
I always assume, just so you know, I do have to pay Brandon to even show up to the podcast. He's, you want to talk about heat, Ken Shamrock having heat. Brandon has heat with me. He's not going to work at any other wrestling podcast after I fire him. But yeah, no, he's very easily at a different establishment every single night here in Tampa. And there's a ton of them.
Yeah.
Tampa strip clubs are I enjoy them.
And last but not least, speaking of hiring and firing, Mr. at Wreak Havoc of the Young Kings Wrestling Podcast, Travis, put out a call to both us and the Smack Raw podcast, whoever would be interested in bringing him on. He wants to leave the Young Kings because neither TC Fontaine nor Malik watched DBZ and actually came out and said they didn't have time for any other nerdy shit beyond wrestling. They only had time for one thing, and they chose wrestling, so they have no idea what's going on with Dragon Ball. And now he, again, wants nothing to do with them. He said, hey, if you guys want to have me on, I'm going to leave these guys. So,
well, with that being said, what's his name?
The person that wants to come on?
Yes.
That would be at Wreak Havoc, Tariq.
So, Mr. Tariq at Wreak Havoc. Yeah, if you tired of these haters over on the Young Kings podcast, not respecting DBZ, not giving you time to talk DBZ, stifling your creativity when it comes to DBZ, come to Smackin' Raw.
Travis likes taking time off anyway, so I could use a permanent co-host.
Sure.
Well, did you see that post that he did when he was talking about DBZ and coming on your podcast? Did you see how many likes he got?
Yeah.
It was over 9,000. So, I mean, come on, you walked right into that one.
He did. He did.
All right. Where do you want to start, Kenny? Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or AEW?
I mean, we got to start at Raw. I mean, that's the name of this podcast too. So here we go.
All right. So we kicked off Monday Night Raw with the Seth and Dominic contract signing. So I love this because Joe does all of the talking for Dominic.
Yep.
Until Dominic actually signs his WWE contract and signs his Extreme Rules match, because Seth has made it an Extreme Rules match to give Dominic an advantage. At that point now, even though he was ready to get in the ring last week, he lets us know, I'm not technically medically cleared for action. So as Dominic is getting beaten to shit with a kendo stick, he just sits there silently and watches poor Dominic get destroyed by Seth, just brutalized with that kendo stick.
Yeah, well, you know.
I mean,
man shit
heard,
now, sir.
I heard, I mean, I asked the same question on social media, and then Samoa Joe's really good at subtleties because he did explain it in kayfabe, because he said he was handcuffed to the desk. The implication being that now that he is a Dominic, I'm talking about, now that Dominic is a member of the WWE roster, perhaps Samoa Joe is not able to help him, which goes back to your point about talking for Dominic. And then the minute he signed the contract, he stepped back. He can't be involved because now it's a conflict of interest.
Yep.
So Samoa Joe is good at those subtleties.
He really is.
He is. He's fantastic.
We also had a Seth versus Humberto match. Travis, did you see that match? I always forget when I have people on that I know watch the full shows. I got to ask Travis sometimes what he saw because he watches on Hulu. We got to do our not good enough for Hulu thing. So did you see the Seth Humberto match?
I did.
Okay. Seth defeated Humberto, and then, like I said, Dominic got that beat down after the match, and it was brutal. Like Tommy Dreamer, Sandman, but worse. Brutal.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. That Singapore Cane from '94. Like that was paying your dues. That was some paying your dues shit. And then Brandon even admitted on my podcast, he's like, I don't know if I could take that. So kudos to him for taking those shots.
I don't know, Matt. I've seen you take a beating.
You seen me take a beating?
I could take it. I could take it. No, I was agreeing with him. So I heard Brandon say that he's a bitch boy and he's out.
Yeah.
And he said he'd pay his dues. So at my bachelor party, when I got married in 2017, all of my friends, Travis and John, who I've known since grade school, John I've known since I was 3, friends from, all over the place that came together to celebrate me, paid strippers an exorbitant amount of money to beat the living dog shit out of me.
We did.
They
worth
ripped
every
the
penny.
chain off my neck. They destroyed my underwear. When I was done, I had to go in the bathroom, take my underwear off and throw it away because it was just useless shreds of scraps garments. They beat me across my back and my ass. I got home and I took my shirt off and I showed my wife and she laughed her ass off. They jumped on my chest and knocked the wind out of me.
Over and over again.
There was a safe word, but nobody told me the safe word. So when we got done, the strippers were like, I can't believe you took that. You never used a safe word. I'm like, what safe word? And they're just like, oh. I'm like, I could have copped out, but
he wouldn't have. So that's the thing. He wouldn't have. That's the thing. He wouldn't have. He's too stubborn. He's too stubborn for that. So even if he knew the safe word, he wouldn't have said it because he knew he wouldn't hear the end of it from us. So there's no way he would have done it.
I have to say, though, I'd much rather take it from the strippers than from Seth Rollins, though. So
this is true.
Did you get to see?
He also twerked after that too, though. So
I did get up on stage in my NWO Wolfpack shirt and twerk a little bit.
Yeah,
so
he did.
And
that's if you're the members of the Patreon, that's what they'll release next. Is that footage from that night?
Well, there's no footage of that night there for very.
No. I got some footage of it, exclusive footage that I'm going to help you out with.
Travis, did you get to see Dawkins versus Andrade or Bianca and Zelina?
Yes.
Okay, so Dawkins gets the win over Andrade, which actually kind of surprised me.
Really?
Well, yeah, because Andrade is kind of
singles guy.
Yeah, singles guy, former NXT champion. Dawkins is the tag team guy, and I mean he's the bigger of the two in the tag team, but Montez Ford is kind of like that.
He's the star of the team.
He's the star of the team. So seeing Dawkins get the singles win here was surprising. Bianca and Zelina did great. Love seeing Bianca get her win. Both those women get some time in the ring and let Zelina get a little shine because you don't get to see her wrestle often. So every time she does, it's a treat.
Yeah. I remember watching her in TNA and thinking, she's going to be pretty dope one day.
Yeah. Rosita.
Awesome. And now she's killing it as a manager.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got this terrible Mickie James, Natalya, Lana backstage segment where
didn't see it.
Okay.
Thank God that they cut that from Hulu and saved you.
Did you see Apollo versus Shelton?
No, black people are not good enough for Hulu.
Yeah, no. Did you see Viking Raiders, Cedric and Ricochet versus Akira Tozawa and the Ninjas?
What did I tell you about black people on Hulu?
Well, the Viking Raiders were there, Travis. There were white people and Asian people there too.
I know. And I also got to see Dawkins and Bianca Belair earlier, so it was just
exactly. Did you see Peyton Royce versus Liv Morgan?
No.
Did you get to see Raw Underground?
Yeah.
So you
they
saw
didn't cut that shit?
No, they made me watch that.
So are you not a fan of Raw Underground, Kenny?
So I actually don't mind it, but it's one of those things where it's like I don't want to say I'm entertained by it either. It's just it's there. I don't hate it too much.
I actually really enjoy Raw Underground. My thing was I was a little upset that they broke to the pressure and they got rid of the dancing girls. I'm not going to call them strippers because listen, for everyone who goes on their podcast and says strippers, 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 I spent a good majority of my 20s putting girls through college at strip clubs. Those women were not stripping. A stripper is a woman who takes her clothes off seductively, for the most part, depending on where you go, for money. Those girls were dancing. They were not stripping. Therefore, they are not strippers. They were go-go dancers. They were dancers, so on and so forth. Also, I'm a firm believer, and I've stated this many times, that we can have women who are comfortable with their sexuality, who are empowered by their sexuality and comfortable with their bodies, who want to go and do things like dance on Raw Underground, doing that, and also have women's wrestling. It doesn't have to be one or the other. But if you're going to do the Raw Underground thing, do what those wrestling girls said. Throw some men in there too. Get some Chippendales dancers
why not?
In the background, twerking like I did on stage at the strip club. Get that in there with the women. Mix it up. Make it equal. But don't get rid of it. And Liv actually came out on Twitter after Alundra Blaze took Shane to task for having dancing women. And in her opinion, ruining the women's revolution or setting it back. And Liv's like, no, I was cool with the dancers. Can they come back? And I'm with Liv Morgan.
Yeah. I don't understand it either. It's one of those pick your battles, folks. Like there's no reason to fight this one. Like it's just there's nothing really here because it's not like they took away from what the women in the WWE already do. Like they were literally just there in the background. Like they exist, but all the great matches you get in the women's divisions in WWE, they're still there.
I said it on my podcast. I said last week, if you really listen to my verbiage, and I always pick at it, I said I didn't have a problem with the dancers. I was weirded out that WWE would choose dancers in 2020, knowing the backlash they'd get from the PC stuff. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like I sat there and went, "Oh, this is cool. It fits the Raw Underground stuff." But then as soon as I saw the dancers, I was like, "Oh, I know what this is going to lead to."
Yeah. It's not going to end well for them.
It's not going to end well, right? And with WWE being a PG product, it's like. Maybe a bad choice. That's all I said on it. Personally, I didn't mind the dancers.
And like I said, you've got Scarlett now down in NXT who, gave Scott Steiner a lap dance on Impact at one point. You've got Lana who's on TikTok twerking and dancing to the beat as best she can in a bikini every week. Like there are women out there who are very comfortable with their bodies and their sexuality and they use it to empower themselves. So if they're okay with doing stuff like this, I don't see an issue in letting them do it because even in 2020, that stuff does sell. But that doesn't diminish the women who don't want to do that stuff, who are still going out and putting in work and putting on matches that are equal to and sometimes better than the men's matches. You can have both and you can mix them together. TV does it. You have strong female characters who are not sexualized, and you have female characters who are sexualized on TV shows. And again, this is just a TV show. This is not the MLB. This is not the NFL. This is not the NBA. This is a episodic TV show every week that is more akin to a Game of Thrones or a Breaking Bad than it is the NBA Finals or, you know, the XFL.
People forget that
all the time. We did have Riddick Moss, because we got way off subject from Raw Underground, beating up some guy. He got worked for a little bit there too before they went off the mat and brawled outside. And Shane's like, it's all legal. It's okay. It's all legal. We can do whatever we want here. Riddick ends up beating the guy. Then we got Arturo Ruas, who just dominated some dude with some Copiera. That was dope as hell. I know you were saying you did a little martial arts training as a kid where they were beating you with sticks and shit, right?
Jiu-jitsu, yeah, mainly so.
And then Babatunde, or I don't even know what they're calling him now.
Kaba
Baba.
Majin
Buu got a win again.
Dabakato.
There we go.
Dabakato.
He got the win again, and then the ending segment was Shayna coming out and beating up 3 PC talents.
Here's the funny part, by the way. This is a little mark out moment for me. So Raw Underground, the girls that they had in there, Sophia Castilla, Marina Tucker, and stuff. I've worked with them at these Florida wrestling promotions, like, you know, like literally shared a locker room, talked to them, done stuff. And I'm watching them, like Dante Carter, another one. He was in Raw Underground and he got beat. I'm like, he was ring announcing at the last Knockout show I went to, and me and him were talking. He's like, bro, I don't want to be ring announcing. I want to be in the ring. And now I'm watching, he was on 205 Live last week. So it's like, I'm having this huge, like, these are people I know, like, kind of moments. And they're on, like, WWE TV and, like, having this whole, like it sounds weird, but I'm like, why do I down myself? Like, you know, like I think I can't do something. I'm like, look at them. These are people I've you know, been shoulder to shoulder with, and they're in WWE TV. So anything's possible with some hard work, you know? So I believe congrats to all of them. So
I believe one of the girls was also on Titan Games with The Rock, because John and his girlfriend Caroline come over for most of the pay-per-views, and they watch Titan Games, and they always shout her out when she's in the crowd. So I believe one of those girls was on the Titan Games with The Rock too.
Nice.
Travis, did you get to see Asuka versus Bayley?
Yes.
Dude, this was a damn good match. Like the reversals in this match, the way that Asuka set up the win with that transition from the armbar to the Asuka lock, like this was a really, really good fucking match. Asuka gets the win, defeating Bayley, which gives her title shot against Sasha at SummerSlam. And when we get to SmackDown, we'll talk about that a little bit more. How'd you guys like that match overall?
Hell of a match. I'm just like Bayley in general. Bayley and Sasha in general are killing it on all of the brands.
Definitely.
So I'm just like that all of the women's storylines are kind of overlapping and doing stuff like it's really interesting TV. So whoever's booking the women's division in WWE right now, kudos to them.
You guys think they'd be there if Becky and Charlotte were still?
No, not at all.
No,
not at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
It would be more of the same if they were still there. So
yeah, blessing in disguise.
Yeah, I was gonna say little blessings, boob jobs and babies, helping out the women's division.
There we go.
Can we get a shirt that says boob jobs and babies? Just
we
no
sure
context. No context.
I am 100% down for that.
Collab T-shirt. We'll donate that to breast cancer awareness.
Yeah, there we go. Boom, boom. Well done.
Parenthood.
I like it.
So, Travis, did you get to see the stuff with Retribution?
What'd they do?
They broke a window.
Yeah, I saw that shit. They threw a cement block through a window and then threw another cement block through the same broken window again.
Yeah, and then cheered as they broke the cement block on the ground.
Yeah, that was so weird. And
then they flipped a car too at one point.
Yeah,
a lot of the
just a normal Friday night, you know.
Yeah, a lot of the rumors going around is all the people that we've been seeing aren't the actual members of Retribution. I think we got a little bit more confirmation of that on SmackDown.
They grew.
Yeah. They got that Mario mushroom and grew up a little bit.
It was like watching Space Jam. Like they were like the little monsters like this, and then they became the Monstars, you know? It's like the hell happened there. Like 7'4" people all of a sudden. Last week it was people who were 205 Live.
Mm-hmm. I'm very curious as
Saw
to what
more women too.
Who's going to be in it? Yeah, they're They're adding to their ranks. I had suspicions of who was going to be in it. There are a bunch of rumors flying around. Of course, because it's wrestling and it's WWE, the first name that comes out is CM Punk is the leader of Retribution because he's the leader of everything.
Yeah,
and then Ali gets thrown into it too because, you know, Chicago's the greatest wrestling city in the world, and anyone from Chicago is automatically a part of anything new that WWE does. So then we had Randy defeat Kevin Owens, which fine match, reversals, good stuff. But the big thing here was afterwards when Randy told Rick, hang out, we're going to talk. And you get that sinking feeling in your stomach.
Yes.
You know it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
You know it's coming. This would
that
be
was good. That was good.
Yeah.
Like how they had him go stay here. We're going to celebrate. And then they go to commercial, fades to black, because the whole commercial break, your stomach's in knots.
Just like,
and the funny part is, like, you're like,
Randy, don't do it.
I almost for a second, I'm like, you know, I have to take a step back and go, wait, this shit's not real. What the hell am I worried about right now? You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like, that's how good they are, though. You know, that's how good Randy Orton's been. It's just you get that dread when something goes on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been singing his praises for weeks now. Like, just
you guys were talking about how he's mixed that Viper character with the Legend Killer character and just become that much more lethal.
Yeah,
than he
absolutely.
was before. So obviously, you know, they're going back and forth. Randy's saying why he needs to be rid of Rick. Rick is emotionally talking as Randy's making fun of him for crying about how he just wants to be part of this and how cool it is at his age to hear from that guy that we don't talk about, with the red and the yellow and the,
we don't talk about him, brother.
the guy that Booker T's coming for still.
Matt's favorite wrestler.
And we can't talk about Booker T now either because he's fucking shit up too. Anyway, how they're all these legends are like, what's it feel like, you know, this and that, and how proud he is, and he wants to be a part of that. He wants to see Randy be the one to break his championship title record and all of these things. And of course, you know, at the end they hug, and then Randy drops down and hits him with the low blow. The lights are flickering, and then the lights go out just as he goes in for that punt kick.
So
because we can't kick
him. You
a 70-year-old man in the face.
Yeah, he's barely alive as it is. So it's just,
the way they did it right before he dropped. Again, just the realism of it. You know, Ric Flair. I don't know if you paid attention to this, but Randy Orton very much looked like he was gonna break, and he looked like he was getting emotional too, but he tried to keep it together because Ric Flair was being honest with, you know, I wanted to call the people I loved after that coma and stuff. But as that was going on, just like in real life, when, you know, you may have a fight with someone you love, Randy just scoops him into his arms and just hugs him as hard as he can, like almost like to say, I'm sorry, which made that low blow much worse. You know? Because it's not like he was talking to just low blowed him. He pulled him in for the hug. But when that happened, it was almost like how dare you? You know, that's Ric Flair. And credit to Drew McIntyre when he came out saying even Rick too, which it really emphasized, like, that's how far he's willing to go. The guy he respects the most is who he took out. You know?
Yeah, so that's one of those things like I talk about all the time when I watch anything on television. I sit down, I turn it on, and I'm like, okay, tell me a story.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they're giving me.
As great as this was, I do this to myself all the time, and Travis gives me shit for it. I fantasy booked some stuff, and it kind of ruined it. I wish they had saved this for after the Drew feud when Charlotte was ready to come back and use this to get to Charlotte versus Randy. Because I think Charlotte versus Randy would be amazing, and
he does this to himself
a great
all
way
the time
to get Charlotte versus Randy is Charlotte coming back because of what Randy did to her father.
See, I'm always critical, to be honest with you. You know, I respect you. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of people on Twitter and stuff, I always am critical that people kind of like overbook and they kind of get ahead of themselves with the storyline. Because I find myself doing it too. I have to take a step back and just kind of let the movie happen and realize like it's in front of me, absorb it. And when I'm able to do that, I really, really enjoy it. So I think the advice I would give to always like any wrestling fan is like, if you find yourself becoming, and in your case, not bitter, but a lot of people get bitter about this stuff. If you find yourself becoming bitter, just take a step back and stop using your brain and just, you know, take it in, drink it in, man, as it is. Drink it in, man.
Yeah. Give them a chance to tell you their story first, then decide if you hate it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let it play out. I always say, I mean, if you listen to my podcast, I'm always saying, guys, let this one play out. I didn't realize how much I say it, but it's damn near every episode.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm with you.
Problem is sometimes
like I said,
you get that Rusev and Lana shit because
Yes, and then I can always look back and say, yeah, guys, I was wrong on that one. Horribly wrong.
No, this was great, and this is great for Drew. Not good enough for Hulu. Monday Night Raw edition. Mickie James makes her return to Monday Night Raw. It is confronted by Natalya and Lana, who are wearing strange, bright-colored, matching outfits, and there is a discussion of who. It's her. Mickie says she's coming back to be the leader of the locker room, and Lana's just there being Lana. I have no idea. I'm gonna let this one play out. I'm gonna take your advice and let this one play out. I have no idea
No.
what they're doing.
No. There's exceptions. There's exceptions to every rule.
Sometimes
and this is mine. Yeah.
Yeah. Pull out Randy Jackson. That's a no for me, dog. Like,
because no one's. I'm gonna be so blunt, but no one is talented enough to make this one work. That's the problem. It's like I love Natalya, but she's an in-ring person. You know what I mean? Like she's not a charismatic talent. Lana, same thing. She's more sexualized, showing women empowerment kind of thing. She's not going to make this whole Mean Girls thing work. Mickie James is the only one that can pull it off, but Mickie James has already gone through a Piggy James storyline with Lay Cool, which was horrible back then in 2010. So
and she was part of the Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax shaming storyline.
Yeah, did the same thing there too. Yeah.
What is up with shaming storylines and weird Mean Girl type stuff at Mickie James? Like, why do they insist on putting her in that type of stuff? She's better than this shit.
And let's not forget when she Donald Trump Trish at WrestleMania.
I got that. It took me a second, but I got it. I got it.
Yeah. If you're paying attention. Wonder if that was a WAP. Anyway, Apollo loses to Shelton Benjamin. Travis Shelton gets the win on Raw over the United States champion.
Hey,
Obviously,
look at that.
Thanks to help from the Hurt Business.
W's a W. I say it all the time.
MVP stops Bobby from putting Apollo in the full Nelson because he wants him healthy so he can actually defend his United States title at SummerSlam, and for his trouble gets kicked in the face from Apollo as he takes off. Also, Apollo said that he gave the old U.S. title to his child because he promised when he won the new one that his kid could have the old one. So that was kind of cool. And Apollo actually, both in his promos and everything, has really been killing it. He's really kind of taken this opportunity, and he's doing everything he can to make the best of it and show off what he can do. So shout out to Apollo, man.
We'll get to it later, but there is a lot of people that have been given the ball in terms of promos, and they have surprised the hell out of me. Apollo is definitely at the top of that list because I did not know. I always thought of him as the smiling, charismatic baby face, but I did not see now he's just got a whole different swagger about him. When he's talking about that promo, and he's cutting a very genuine babyface promo, adding some of his personality in there. And I'm like, I actually really like this guy's promos. And I never thought I'd say that about Apollo Crews.
Mm-hmm. He was always just the happy, smiling guy.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
We also had the Viking Raiders, Cedric and Ricochet defeat Akira Tozawa and his ninjas. R-Truth was one of the ninjas who refused.
Please tell me they cut this. Did they cut this on Hulu?
This
is all stuff. Yeah, this is all stuff that wasn't on Hulu.
So
thank God.
Truth dressed up as a ninja, refused to get in the ring. Him and Tozawa leave. And then, of course, he rolls up Tozawa and becomes like a 30 or 70 or whatever it is, time 24/7 champion. Truth got the belt back. And the Viking Raiders squashed one of the ninjas.
I knew it was only a matter of time before somebody disguised themselves as a ninja. So, yeah.
And last but not least, on Not Good Enough for Hulu, Peyton Royce defeats Liv Morgan. There's a little mixed communication between Ruby and Liv there that cost Liv the match, and Liv did not seem too happy with Ruby after losing the match. Then we get to what we have on SmackDown. So there's still that uneasy tension in the Riot Squad. Are they friends? Aren't they friends? Can Liv trust Ruby?
Right.
Overall, Travis, as you know,
swallow.
You're swallowing Raw?
Mm-hmm.
Kenny, spit or swallow?
I would say swallow. I think this is a very very good episode.
All right. I know where you're going to land later at the end of the show because I got that spoiler this morning. So I'm going to swallow as well. Yeah, there was a lot of good shit here, even despite Natalia and Lana and Viking Raiders and Akira Tozawa and the Ninjas.
Lucky for me, I didn't see it.
Where are we going next, Kenny? NXT, AEW, or SmackDown?
Let's switch it up. Let's talk some AEW.
All right. So we kick it off with the Dark Order versus the Young Bucks. Young Bucks get the win in Tag Team Appreciation Night over Stu Grayson and Evil Uno. Travis, you look like you got something to say.
I just didn't care. Just all night, I just kept thinking, why do I care? Why do I care? Then they got Orange Cassidy versus Jericho. I'm like, okay, I care now.
there were a couple things from here that I cared about and enjoyed, but for the most part, this Young Bucks versus Dark Order match, like they had built the Dark Order to a certain point, and then I hate to say it, but Brody Lee came in and all of that
Ruined
momentum and all of the stuff they did, got ruined. And now Stu Grayson and Evil Uno were off TV and so far away from it for so long with the pandemic and everything, even though they were the number one ranked tag team and were supposed to have title shots, even if the rankings are a thing anymore, because I don't hear about them on TV.
They keep talking about them. I've heard them. They said somebody was number 3 tonight or Wednesday night. I forgot who it was.
And the Young Bucks are fine when they have decent competitors. Like Young Bucks versus FTR, I'm probably going to love that match. It's going to be great. But on a regular night, on a regular basis, in a regular tag team match that you knew they were probably going to win, despite the fact that Matt Jackson is up on the ramp being held back by all of the Dark Order members, and it's a 2-on-1, Nick Jackson still gets the win and makes Grayson and Uno look like idiots. Travis, have you been enjoying MJF and MJF's speech?
Oh, I enjoy the fuck out of MJF.
So they're doing this thing where MJF, and again, I think you guys talked about this, isn't on TV 2 weeks in a row, in-ring segments. So he'll do a speech, and then he'll have like a backstage something, and then again this week he's back on TV, in ring doing a segment.
It's good stuff. It's a good way to book somebody.
Literally laying down in the ring, calling out Jon Moxley, who does the opposite of what he normally does. MJF sends everyone out when Moxley's music hits into the crowd because he always comes in from the crowd, and Moxley walks down the rampway right up behind MJF, gets a jump on him while all of his guys are away. I enjoy it, but so I saved this picture. Fuck it, I deleted it. It had to have been a joke tweet, but somebody tweeted out why AEW is so great, and they were compared. And they said MJF.
I lost you. Said, why is AEW so great? And they compare what?
All of the AEW wrestlers to Attitude Era wrestlers. So they said MJF is The Rock, Jon Moxley is Stone Cold, Orange Cassidy is Triple H, Darby Allin is The Undertaker. Like I said, at that point, I'm like, okay, this has got to be a joke.
It's rolling.
There's no way. I said this on my podcast, not to rant too much, but last week I called Orange Cassidy the 2020 Undertaker. And a lot of people looked at me and scratched their heads, and I said, okay, let me explain. And I'll explain a little bit on this podcast. I don't want to take up too much of the time. But basically the way I said it was that he knows when to dial back his character, work a little bit slower, and give it away at the right time, just like The Undertaker did. So that's why I would compare him to The Undertaker. So if you're comparing Orange Cassidy to anybody but The Undertaker and talking about Attitude Era stars, I think I don't think you understand wrestling.
And I heard what you were saying, and you and I even talked about that because I was kind of making fun of people because everyone's going to hear you say Orange Cassidy's The Undertaker, and they're like, but he's so much smaller than The Undertaker, and he's not on.
Right.
You're not talking face value like they are by saying Darby Allin is The Undertaker.
Like
talking about the way he works.
Like AEW heels. Like
yeah.
when people hear that and they jump to conclusions. No,
So.
we're talking a lot deeper than that.
We got Matt Hardy backstage giving an interview. He's going through different personalities and then attacks a ref thinking it's Sammy Guevara because the ref stole Sammy Guevara's jacket and they kind of looked alike. Matt's losing his shit. I don't know if it's from the chair shot, if he got hit too hard in the head. And, not only did he get your video banned on YouTube for blood and gore, but also just broke whatever barrier he has in his head between the personalities. I'm kind of interested. I'm a little interested. Scorpio Sky lost to Cody, and I really wanted to see Scorpio win, especially because we've got the new TNT title, which looks, even though I don't like the red strap, I'm not a fan of red or blue straps, like bright colored straps, other than the white strap for the IC title. I prefer my straps black or like a dark blue, like that Attitude Era Winged Eagle belt. I didn't like the yellow Intercontinental title, like that shit. It's just not for me. But it does look much better with the gold and everything. Even Travis, who's not the biggest AEW guy, came out and admitted, okay, that's okay now. That's better.
Yes, so much better.
Sky loses to Cody, but we got Mike Chioda out here.
Yeah, Kyoto.
They gave him a job.
And it's 4 count.
Yeah. So Kenny had a video or a little video gif of Mike Chioda's count at the end of that match. He's like, count with me. And Chioda's notorious for this. Like, he always fucks me up when he counts because he drops down, and every time he drops down, he slaps his hand.
Yeah.
So you think it's 1, but that's not where 1 starts. So it always looks like, oh, they got a 3, but that was a 2. Such a Chioda thing.
Yeah.
But definitely looked like a 4 count. And then, like you said, you love the people who were in the chat who were talking about the 4 count and the Big E thing, as opposed to, everyone.
Yeah, it's positive comments. Like, we're just tongue in cheek. I don't actually have heat with Mike Chioda. Jimmy Corderas actually follows me on Twitter, and he had posted a video talking about that of like, I'm not even here to criticize the 4 count. And I was like, look, Jimmy Corderas said it, and he's more reputable than me. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's a former WWE referee. So I'm like, at least people are noticing this.
Yeah. My thing, about when it comes to Cody in this TNT title, I'm liking this gradual heel turn they're doing with him. I like that. I'll give him that. Yeah. That's about all I'll give him, but I'll give him that.
So like I said, Sky loses here to Cody, so Cody keeps his TNT title. This is one of the few women's segments we had because Allie and Brandy came out. QT Marshall in his rightful place, carrying a flag, not wrestling, because fuck that apple-eating fuck. Then we had Jurassic Express lose to Paige and Omega, another tag team match. Travis got his Luchasaurus, though.
Yeah, I got my Luchasaurus.
I need them to drop these titles.
I do too.
Omega to knock, or Paige to knock Omega's teeth out.
Yeah, I'm ready for that to end. It's time for that to be over.
Proud and Powerful get the best friends clothes and bleach them in the shower. And then said, basically, fuck you and your apology, you're not getting one. Travis, this, you know how I feel about Chuck. Between destroying Trent's mom's van and now this, I'm starting to become a Proud and Powerful fan, even though I cannot stand Ortiz and the Tiger style. I do love Santana, but the Tiger style, it's too much for me. But this right here, definitely becoming a Proud and Powerful fan.
Yeah, man. Hashtag fuck Chuck.
Then we had the big segment. It's FTR and the Bucks there honoring Arn and Tully and the Rock and Roll Express. Morton's out there talking about how the Bucks are, the greatest tag team today, and Arn is saying,
my God, this segment went on forever.
Arn is saying it's FTR, and Tully's like, hey, the champions are the greatest, and nobody out here has fucking gold. So what are we fucking jerking each other off for? Like,
amen. Go home.
I thought it was a good segment. I actually really liked it.
I did. This was one of my favorite. This was one of my favorite things.
So long for me. I'm like, why are you all still talking?
I'm surprised they dropped Marty Jannetty's name in that. Like they said, Sean and Marty, and I'm like, hey. Ooh.
Well, I'm like of all the times to mention Marty Jannetty, just after he talks about killing a guy and stuff like that. It's like, no.
Possibly multiple people. Like he said, first time I made a guy disappear.
I told that to Brandon because Brandon's like, yeah, so he probably killed a guy. I'm like, no. Listen to the verbiage he used. He said it wasn't the first time. It was the first time I had to take care of somebody. I was like, the first time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that flew under a lot of radars. This ends with FTR feigning a knee injury to Cash, I believe.
No, Dax. Cash was the other guy. So bald guy Dax hair, cash.
All right, so Dawson feigned a knee injury.
Yes.
because that's how I know him. And then as everyone kind of went after Sean Spears, who came down, and they separated Ricky Morton, who took a cheap shot at Tully because they were going back and forth at it, and everyone got separated. FTR picks up Ricky Morton, hits that spike pile driver on him. Obviously, the Young Bucks turn around. They're like, what the fuck's going on? Even Adam Page and Kenny Omega come down, and FTR's out of the ring. They're leaving. And Page is like, hey, you know, what's going on? And they're like, hey, like, no, our bad. Like, I love FTR with Adam Page, and I'm really hoping that goes somewhere when they lose the tag team titles, because I can see FTR with Adam Page being a cool 3, possibly 4-man faction going forward. And I think those guys fit together very well.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
definitely.
if you have Adam Page turn on Kenny Omega, causing them to lose the titles, you give the titles to FTR, that causes them to feud with the Young Bucks. Now we have a feud for the titles. It just writes itself.
Exactly.
And it's good television.
And Adam Page is their boy, so Adam Page can do solo stuff. They'll have his back. It'll be
Against Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right there.
We got Jericho basically telling Mike, hey, I got you your job once. They fired you. I made some calls. I got your job back once. I can get your job back again other than just tonight. If you do the right thing tonight, I'll give you the signal. And Mike's like, yeah, I'm going to call it down the middle. And he goes, yeah. You're going to call it down the middle. Exactly.
When I give the signal, you call it down the middle.
Sheeta defeats Heather Monroe with a modified stretch muffler. That was actually pretty cool. That is the only thing that this women's division is doing right now is what they're doing with Hikaru Shida. I enjoy her. I enjoy what they've allowed her to do. And like I said, a couple weeks ago, she made Penelope Ford look fantastic in the ring in one match. So obviously she has some talent there to make other people look better than they are, in my opinion.
Definitely.
So keep that up, but more. Like longer matches, utilize more of your women. Like you have Abaddon. Abaddon is fucking amazing. Why is she on Dark and not on fucking Dynamite? And the only thing I can think of is Kenny Omega's focus was the Joshi talent, and because he doesn't have them, he doesn't have any plans to book the rest of the women. Because you have Big Swole, you have Abaddon, you have, Anna Jay, now Tayanara Conti, I believe, Diamante and Ivelisse. Like, you have women's wrestlers that you can use that can go out there and put on matches.
Well, he's too busy having Big Swole feud with somebody who can't wrestle right now.
That's true. We get this awkward Jake the Snake promo where they're in a locker room, and
I loved it. It was
Lance
awkward
Archer's
for all the right reasons.
Beating dudes up, and then he embarrasses Jake by taking Jake's shirt off and pointing to everybody dies on his back, and Jake just looks like embarrassed to be part of this whole thing.
It was the juxtaposition of Jake cutting like, let me tell you about Lance Archer, blah blah blah, and he's cutting this really methodical promo, and in the background Lance Archer's whooping people's ass and throwing them around. It's like I loved it. I love the juxtaposition.
Any thoughts there, Travis? Orange Cassidy defeats Chris Jericho.
It's just I don't know what it was. I feel like Jake should be hitting for me more. Like Jake should be hitting better for me, and he's not.
It kills me too because Travis is such like a WCW mark, and he's forcing me to go back and watch all of the bad WCW, and he loves all of that, but he's just not getting into this. And I liken this to WCW in a lot of ways in the way they feature their wrestlers. And obviously you have the TNT and, Cody booking like Dusty and this and that, blah, blah. I really thought with the way they're doing things that Travis was going to be much more into this than he is. It really surprises me that he's not.
Well, see, here's the thing, Kenny. Let me tell you something about Travis.
Oh, boy.
Travis loves bad wrestling, all right? Like, I love bad wrestling. The problem is this isn't really bad wrestling. It's poorly executed wrestling. That's like the best way I can like describe what AEW does. Like WCW, like early WCW, like 94, 95 WCW was like ridiculous kind of shit. Like that, that fucking strap
Dungeon
match.
of Doom.
Yeah, the Dungeon of Doom. That fucking strap match where fucking Hulk Hogan won against Vader by dragging Ric Flair around the ring. Like, it's just stupid shit like that. It was so bad. that it's entertaining to me.
Oh, yeah, by the
AEW
way, fuck you for telling me that when we got to December 95 that the Dungeon of Doom was not going to be a mainstay on WCW TV, and now we're like 6 months in to fucking WCW of 96 and they're still a mainstay.
I don't even
Fucking
remember
liar.
saying that, but okay.
Yeah. I've been listening back to our WCW Return to Wrestling episodes, and I just finished, I think, episode 3. And at the end of episode 3, you're like, "Oh yeah, they're done. You know, they're not going to be on top." No, we still did fucking episode 4 and episode 5, and we're just now getting to fucking.
Yeah, I just remembered wrong. I thought that it got into that Macho Man and Ric Flair thing faster than it did. That's why. My bad.
So even though you know Jake Hager comes in and interferes, and Orange gets kicked in the plums, he still wrangles that mousetrap pin that was kind of awkward. He gets the win here. Kenny, AEW spit or swallow, or gargle undecidedly.
I would probably gargle undecidedly because I feel like they've done better episodes. I don't have anything bad to say about this episode, but I think the week before killed it compared to this episode. So, yeah, I'm a little undecided on this one.
Okay. Travis?
Yeah, I think I have to gargle this one too. It was just like there's so much that I was just like, why are you giving me this? But then they gave me Luchasaurus and that Orange Cassidy Jericho match. So like, oh, okay. You'll get a gargle out of me.
Well, I hate to fucking go along with the crowd again like we did with Raw, but yeah, I'm with you guys. There wasn't a lot to love here, but there wasn't a lot to hate either. So I'm on the fence there. Kenny, NXT or SmackDown?
I guess let's go NXT. So
All right.
Save SmackDown for last.
So we kick it off with Karrion Kross versus Danny Burch. Obviously, Kross gets the win here. After the match, Keith Lee comes down. He has a contract, says that he talked to William Regal and promised William Regal he would not touch Karrion Kross before TakeOver 30 if he gave him the match. Regal agrees. He hands the contract to Scarlett. Kross signs it. Scarlett seals it with a kiss, gives it back to him. And as Keith Lee opens up the contract to see that it was signed, a fireball blows up in his face, blinding Keith Lee, taking him out. I loved this. This felt, and I said this on Twitter, this felt very late 90s wrestling to me.
Yeah,
Like,
Undertaker Ministry kind of stuff.
Oh,
Yes.
please. The fireball goes back to early 90s wrestling. Like, it's just, I remember the fireballs. I miss fireballs. They should do that more often. Like,
that's what I'm
it's
saying,
kind of
like-
good that they don't, though, because then it's like one of those things where it's like you do not see that coming.
You're right.
You know,
This
so
happened and it made it so cool. Because
Yeah.
like you said, you don't see that coming. You were not expecting it to blow up in his face. And it did. And it's like, oh.
and a perfect character to do with like, you know, Karrion Kross, dare I say, channeling Satan himself, and just throwing the fire in his face. And
yeah, I felt that.
it's good stuff. But what the fuck is up with Vince McMahon and eyeballs? Like, why does he hate people's sight?
His is probably going. So now he's like, you know what?
That's what it is.
I can't see shit, so nobody's going to see shit. Take out everyone's eyeballs.
If no one else can see, I don't want them to see.
I don't know. That goes back a while, too. Remember, they had those blindfold matches and shit, too. So they've been doing that for a while. I don't know what it is about him and people not being able to see.
And that was Jake, too.
Yeah, that
Jake
was
versus-
Jake. That was Jake. Coming around doing the whole pointing shit.
That was a great. Hey, let's stop without going too off subject. That was a hell of a match. How many people could pull off a blindfold match? The fact that every time he pointed at Martel, the crowd just
The
went,
crowd would
"Ah!"
cheer.
Like, and I still mark out when I see it.
The way the fact that he was able to work the crowd like that. That's the thing. Yeah.
They would never be able to do that in 2000.
Oh no, they
Not with that
troll
kind of
him.
reaction.
They would troll him. Like it'd be
Well, definitely not in 2020 because there's no crowd to help. So
Well,
it'd be
yeah.
like, he'd be pointing and nobody would be responding. It'd be weird.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go back. 2019, the crowd would cheer when he was pointing the opposite direction. Like that's the
Right,
kind
they
of
fucked
thing.
the match up,
Yeah, they do it on purpose.
and then they chant AEW and CM Punk.
yeah.
Travis, did you get to see Drake Maverick versus Killian Dane?
Yes.
So this was a throwaway match. Maverick actually looked like he was starting to get, the win here, or he was going to go over, and then the Undisputed Era comes down. beats up both men, dispelling anyone's thoughts that Adam Cole might be making a babyface turn in this feud with Pat McAfee.
It's a tweener.
And then Cole
No,
challenges.
he's an NXT star. That's what that is. They're all tweeners on NXT. But go ahead.
Keith
NXT and AEW both actually, I feel like blur the lines of babyface and heel a lot.
That's an exaggerated statement, Matt. I know.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, anyway.
None of their heels are really heels. We've had this conversation before.
Cole challenges Pat to show up next week.
Except for one, but we'll talk about him in a second.
And face him like a man. Again, I've said this and I will say this. Fuck you, Twitter, for making me defend Pat McAfee because the guy is a douchebag. I've always thought he was a douchebag. And the fact that I had to go on Twitter and defend a man who spent his entire life training to kick things very well for kicking someone in the head, it hurt me. I hate you all for making me do that. But I'm really in for this. I don't mind having Pat McAfee come in for maybe a one-off, maybe something more. They've been really building this, like I said, slowly behind the scenes with the watch-alongs and stuff like that for a very long time. Adam Cole, he's not in any title picture. He lost the title. He may be on the verge of getting the call-up. So this is a perfect feature match for their big summer 30th takeover. I know people are like, well, that's not NXT. That's WWE. NXT doesn't do stuff like this. Well, it's going to be good.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a great story. It's going to be good shit. Yes? No? You guys agree?
No, I 100% agree. 100% agree that I think a lot of people sometimes, I don't know why everyone else thinks that it needs to be one flavor. People are like, oh, no celeb matches, no this, no that. Okay, cool. Then you complain that it's a very bland and boring show because it'll be a lot of the same shit. So a lot of people like to talk before they think. And let's just say ice cream comes in different flavors for a reason. Just give us something different. And there's room for guys who are 300 pounds, 6 foot, and there's room for guys who are smaller, like Adam Cole, that little piece of shit, as Pat McAfee would say. So there's room for everybody.
Did you get to see Santos Escobar versus Tyler Breeze, Travis?
Negative.
Did you get to see Dakota Kai's promo?
Negative.
Did you get to see Mia Yim versus Indy Hartwell?
Yes.
So Mia comes out and lets us know that she couldn't go with Keith Lee to the hospital because she has this match. She might be a little distracted. She goes out there, gets the win over Indy. Fine. RN and Vince were joking on their NXT recap that now because Mia Yim didn't have a character before, her character is Keith Lee's girlfriend, which still isn't a character. But
still not. I mean, yeah, once again, they had a chance to give her some personality, and then they didn't do it. So
I'm really not liking Mia Yim in NXT, and that's coming from someone who really liked her as Jade in Impact. So it's like, I don't understand how she came to NXT. And like you said, she's like Keith Lee's girlfriend right now. I actually have a problem with every real life couple having to be paired up. Now, sometimes it works. You got the Candice LeRae's and the Johnny Garganos. You got the Scarletts and the Karrion Crosses. But, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes, even though they have real life chemistry, sometimes it's like their characters don't need to be together.
Second Becky.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
Perfect example. It's like, yeah, you got two of the top superstars and two of the top baby faces, but that doesn't necessarily mean that their characters should be together.
Yeah.
So.
Did you get to see Bronson Reed versus Damian Priest?
Yes.
Dude, so Bronson Reed defeats Damian Priest, and all that's fine. I am so excited for the TakeOver post show because I'm going to go on the Smack Raw podcast, and if Vince wins their predictions, RN is going to be forced to spend the entire post show referring to Bronson Reed as Thick Boy because he has to this day refused to do it. I believe Brandon also refuses.
I was just gonna say, it sounds like Brandon. For some reason, Brandon just hates Thick Boy. Just cannot stand him. It's like that's his one. Like mine, I'm gonna get heat for saying it, but mine is like Dolph Ziggler. But I think that's more of a result of how much of a parody of himself he's become compared to what he was in like 2013. So I almost just hate him when he comes on my TV now. He's even got like a bastardized version of his song that he used to have that was pretty awesome. So I mean, anyway, Thick Boy, yeah. Brandon cannot stand Thick Boy, and if he wins the North American title, I think I should make a little bet, a very similar bet. Maybe he needs to buy a Thick Boy shirt or something.
Oh no, 100%. I'm all for it. Like RN is so against ever even just saying the words Thick Boy that I want Vince to win so that I can go on that post show and just keep bringing up Bronson Reed and making him refer to him as Thick Boy.
I mean, if he hates Thick Boy so much, tell him to stay off Adam Cole's Thick Boy.
Did you get to see?
I got to get him once at least every show.
Yeah, I know. Did you get to see Casey Catanzaro and
No.
Caden versus the Robert Stone brand?
No.
Did you get to see Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae story time?
No.
Wow. You saw Cameron Grimes versus Kushida and the mystery opponent?
Yeah, NXT's only heel. Yeah.
Everyone on Twitter, well, not everyone, but a good majority of Twitter, had a shit fit that they allowed VD on TV. With the way they've handled Rich Swann and Jack Gallagher and everyone recently who has had some kind of domestic dispute or allegations, Enzo Amore, I don't see them allowing Velveteen Dream to come back and work if things weren't looking as though he were innocent. The way PR wise they've been handling things and the reputation of the company, I don't see them, unless their lawyers have done some work, I don't think they're going to be like, oh, people stopped talking about it, so we'll just put him back on TV.
No, they wouldn't do that.
Cares. They fired Enzo, who was top star, like mouthpiece, everything, for an accusation that was still under investigation, like not even proven. Again, Rich Swann they got rid of when he was getting a push, all these things. I'm not going to lean one way or the other as to whether Velveteen did those things or not, because I don't know.
It's one of those, we really don't know. And the thing is, I think they learned from those other, other times too, when they like let Enzo go too soon, or when they, when they fire Rich Swann right away, like let's take him off TV for now. We can afford it right now. We're good. Just take him off TV, figure out what's going on, and if he's all good, we'll bring him back instead of just firing him right off the bat. And I think that's what they did. They took him off TV. They did some investigating. They realized, oh, wait, he's all right. We can bring him back, but we'll bring him back slowly. Like, they didn't bring him back. He lost. Like, it's just they didn't bring him back and put him right in the title picture. He came back and lost.
Well, we don't know that yet. So Cameron Grimes gets the win, but because Velveteen Dream was not pinned, he will face Finn Balor for that last chance spot, and one of the two last chance spots to go into that ladder match. So it's Velveteen Dream versus Finn Balor.
And I would
Johnny
bet
Gargano
I'm betting Finn will
Rich
win
Holland.
that match.
I hope so, because I was really looking forward with Finn's promos to him getting in there. Kenny, thoughts? Can I have a Kenny for your thought?
Oh, I actually my audio just actually cut out there. So what topic are we on?
We're talking about VD right now.
Oh, we're talking about VD. Yeah. So with his return, the same thing. What you were saying a little bit earlier. I don't think WWE would be so irresponsible to just put him back on TV without knowing, the circumstances. In Enzo's case, I will say that I think they did fire him for letting it get to the point that it did and not letting them know that there was going to be backlash. I think that was what had come out, that he essentially hadn't said, hey, this is going to come out. He waited until like, hey, tomorrow she's going to accuse me of this. So WWE didn't have time to prepare for this. And basically they were like, screw you, because we could have done some damage control if you're innocent, that sort of thing. Velveteen Dream, I disagree with one thing. He was put back in a prominent position because, he didn't win that match. Remember, though, he's going to the second chance battle royal because of it. And then he turned heel, essentially, at the end of NXT. So they ended the show with him. Like, he was the prominent thing, in that sense.
Yeah, but like I just said, I'm betting he won't win next week, though. That's what I'm saying. It's just like he's there, but I don't think they're really gonna.
But I guess my point is, it's not like he came back and had a match with Thick Boy and that was about it. It was like he came in with a major storyline, going into next week. So they did a little bit more. So it almost makes me feel like, again, speculation, but it makes me feel like they really found some evidence that he's innocent or something like that. I like, there's no way that they,
well,
you know,
I think you guys talked about it. We even talked about it. I cannot fathom someone in his position, even at his age, because he's younger than Travis and I. He's in his early 20s, literally going on Twitter and being like, "Hey, kids, my DMs are open. Hit me up." Like,
yeah,
Yeah, being that stupid. Yeah, that's a
neither here nor
different.
there.
That's what my father would call newborn dumb. So
I love Harry so
I like
much.
that.
Neither here nor there. Like I said, Grimes is moving on, and we're gonna get Finn and Velveteen Dream, Gargano and Ridge Holland for those final 2 spots. Next week, Travis, I need you to pay attention because I know you're gonna text me and ask me why you can't find it. NXT is the only show on Wednesday.
I know.
There will be no AEW.
Comes on Saturday.
AEW
I know.
is coming on Saturday. Okay.
They said it like 17 times during that long ass episode
Which
of Dynamite
means they
I watched.
did their job if they got through to Travis, because Travis hates AEW.
You're right.
He
That's
doesn't
what I'm
pay
saying.
attention at all to shit. I was absolutely expecting to say this, and then on Thursday or Friday, Travis being like, "Hey, how come I can't find the new AEW episode? Why isn't it on?"
No, it's because they said it so many times. Like, that's really what it is. I get it. Because if they had only said it once, I guarantee you I would not have known. But they said it so many times. I'm like, yeah, okay. Because the first time they kind of mentioned something happening on a Saturday, and I had no idea what the fuck they were talking about. You're right. And then later on, they're like, yeah, we'll catch you on Saturday instead of Wednesday. But I'm like, oh.
All right.
It means for the show next week, I don't have to watch AEW.
I know you're on that East Coast timeline. It's getting late, so not good enough for Hulu. NXT edition. Santos Escobar defeats Tyler Breeze. Fandango breaks Moppy's neck on the entrance ramp, comes down.
Moppy?
No, it was a mop. He had a mop. He kicked the head of the mop off.
Oh, I thought they actually brought back Moppy. I'm like, wait, what?
He tries to save Breeze, but it's 3-on-1. And then Swerve comes down and kind of makes the save. And they mention how Swerve has already defeated Santos Escobar. So it looks like Swerve's going to get that push for the Cruiserweight title next. Dakota Kai has a promo where she basically says she doesn't need anyone. She did it all on her own, and she's going to beat Io on her own and become champion, despite the fact that she's had help the entire way because heels. The Robert Stone brand defeat Casey, the Casey Express. They try and recruit Casey Catanzaro because of her American Ninja Warrior past and all these things. She says no. Rhea comes down to attack Mercedes. Shotzi joins in the fight. At this point, does not have her ring gear because it was
In
in the
her
trunk of
street
car.
clothes, yeah.
I enjoyed all this. They run off the Robert Stone brand. I'm down for getting Rhea versus Mercedes and even a tag team match with Rhea and Shotzi in between. And then they had a very good Gargano fairy tale vignette home promo thing where Candice is reading to her children. And of course, in their stories, they're the good guys and all of the good guys are actually the bad guys. And Johnny alluding to his ladder match and him beating Ridge Holland and moving on is climbing a ladder to change a light bulb in this video. It was all really good shit. I love those Gargano home videos that they do.
And the Doc Hendricks cameo at the end. For some reason, they had a Doc Hendricks, Michael P.S. Hayes, in other words, if you don't remember who that is. But he had a picture, and they were going upstairs. He cut off the light. He goes, "Good night, Doc." And I'm like, why the fuck does he have a Doc Hendricks picture? But it's perfect. It was perfect stuff. Good comedic timing.
Kenny, NXT, spit or swallow.
You know what's weird? Even though I know AEW got the better rating, and I say I might have liked AEW better at the time. Like, looking back, I would say swallow with NXT. I actually dug it. It was a good show.
Travis?
Yeah, I'll swallow it as well. It's not as eager of a swallow as Raw was, but I'll swallow it.
Right.
Well, at least we'll all disagree at the end. 3 for 3, I swallow as well. SmackDown, we kick off Big E and Morrison. Retribution ruins the match, coming down and attacking. This is, as we said, where we see that they got their mushroom and grew up. I guess all the slander for them being so small got to them, so they went and hired some bigger goons. Then there's a locker room.
AEW do that too?
Damn. Wow.
They did. Travis, they got Brody Lee, they got Lance Archer, they got Zack Ryder, who's bigger than most of their talent. Like,
that's to Travis's point. I've actually said that on the podcast, which is like Zack Ryder didn't look as big in WWE. I think a lot of people are thinking he got juiced or something. I'm like, no, he was always a big guy. It's just in WWE you didn't notice it as much. You know, like I'm 5'9", for example. If I went in AEW, I'd look like some of the guys in the roster, and that's not a knock. I was just saying they do by default have a smaller roster.
And when Billy Gunn is the tallest guy in your roster, there's something going on there.
Billy Gunn's fucking huge.
He's deceptively big. I was gonna say I've seen him live a lot, and he's deceptively a big guy. He looks like a normal sized dude until you realize, like, my best friend is 6'4", and he's tall. Billy Gunn's 6'5".
Okay.
You know.
We got this locker room meeting where Big E calls Retribution, the Foot Clan. Says he's not going to let them run.
Shit. I love this whole segment.
I know
yeah.
He's not going to let them run roughshod over them. He's still going to go out there and have his match and basically say fuck you to those guys. He'll go out there. He'll beat John Morrison. Sheamus comes in looking like he walked off the set of Gangs of New York. I don't know why.
I was laughing the whole time.
I was understanding.
I don't even know what Sheamus said. I was so distracted by what he was wearing.
Right. It looks like he just came from like a Quidditch match or something. It's like, what the fuck was going on?
But he did obviously say some shit to Big E, and we'll get to that later. Then we have Sasha and Bayley doing the ring announcing for the Triple Brand Battle Royal, and I thought this was my chance for Travis to finally see that Shotzi Blackheart has a goddamn tank. And then they announce Shotzi, and she just comes out to a normal entrance.
Wait, he's never seen her he's actually never seen her with the tank?
Not on NXT TV, because Shotzi is normally not good enough for Hulu, so he always watches it on Hulu.
Oh my god! Okay, that makes so much sense. I'm like she's come out with the tank many times.
I can send him pictures. I can send him videos from my phone and give
fake news.
Until he sees it, it doesn't happen. Just like I told him about Luchasaurus 4 months before Luchasaurus was actually on Dynamite, for him to believe that there was a luchador dinosaur who was like 6 foot something.
So listen, Hulu, you got heat with me because Travis is living in a bubble right now where he doesn't know what the fuck Shotzi Blackheart drives. And she's driving right now a stolen car. But she got her gear back, so it's good. So we're all good. But please, if you can show the DX tank, you can show Shotzi in her tank. All right?
I agree.
Shotzi doesn't have a tank. It's fine. You can just admit it.
Asuka wins the Battle Royal. Like, we had all this talent in there. It was fine. Asuka was a surprise entrant. And she wins. So now Asuka goes on to face both Bayley and Sasha for the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships at SummerSlam. The big question is, will it be a triple threat
You're
match?
right. I forgot she has a match with Sasha. Damn. Yeah.
Will it be
they did
two
a good
separate
job, though.
singles matches?
I think so. They said it. They said something about her having to pull double duty is how they said it. So which would imply that she would do like, Seth Rollins at Night of Champions 2015 and have to wrestle twice. I think that WWE's kind of taking chicken shit and making it into chicken salad. I mean, with Becky being out, with Charlotte being out, they are taking some chances in the women's division. And to me, it's like paying off tenfold.
Yeah, they're paying off.
Yeah, I was expecting, I think we all were expecting Sasha versus Bayley on this one. But I think they're seeing that, hey, maybe it deserves a little bit better of a build, and they're really stretching it out even longer. Which I know what you're going to say. I know
the last 17 years.
No, I know. I know what you're going to say.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're going to say. But 2017 to then, cool. But what I'm talking about is in the COVID era. They're like, okay, we need to stretch this out so that we have a crowd for this match because it's built so well. But that being said, even if it has been long, and I've been one that's like, oh my God, please can they stop feuding? Like, get them over with. It's actually working. It's working tenfold.
And I actually kind of thought this was how we were going to get to the same match, or either one falls for one belt and one falls for the other, or it's winner take all. That greed is going to come out in one of them where they try and win their friend's title, or they now have a built-in issue because if Bayley wins, she's double champ. If Sasha wins, she's double champ. So neither of them
triple champ, actually.
Well, triple champ, yeah, because tag team titles. Neither of them want Asuka to win, but neither of them want to lose their titles either. So I thought that's where we're going to go, but you might be right. We may be getting 2 singles matches. That'll be interesting as well.
I think what happens, I mean, I think you're still correct on one thing, because I think Sasha will end up losing. And then that becomes a jealousy thing of like, well, Bailey won her match. Maybe Bailey even causes Sasha to lose her match. And then it's kind of like one of those things where it's a jealousy thing of like, how come my title's gone, but you still have yours? So we can still get there.
We actually planted that seed directly after this, where Bailey was complaining about Asuka winning and having to defend her title against Asuka, as well as having Sasha's title. And she said, well, hey, I know I lost to Asuka on Monday Night Raw, but it wasn't for the title. So this time I'll have something important to fight for, as if her fighting for Sasha to not have to face Asuka wasn't as important as her fighting for her own belt.
Well, there you go. There you go. And that's what I think me and Travis are saying, where it's like, it's such good TV, because it's like, you know, those little seeds are being planted, those little things, and it's like I could have this go on forever. Honestly, it's great.
Mandy versus Sonya.
Oh, you froze. What was that?
You got what you wanted, hair versus hair, Mandy versus Sonya.
I sure did. Saying this last week, Vince said it wasn't happening. I knew better.
Mandy Rose out here looking like one of the moms in the Pornhub search for the stepmom porn with that haircut. I'm all for it.
Oh, see, I was looking at, interracial MILF porn. She's on those.
Either way.
Fair enough.
Same actresses, different categories. Travis, all right?
Can we give it up? I want to touch on this before we move on. Can we give it up for Mandy Rose and her promo? That goes back to when we were talking about promos and Apollo Crews. I was like, if you had told me 6 months ago that Mandy Rose would be an amazing promo, I would say hell no. But I said that she reminded me of like a Margot Robbie playing Harley Quinn with the way her inflections were and things like that. She had that real Italian voice, so she really got to show her personality. Like, she wasn't like reduced to almost like a Trish Stratus just cutting a normal promo. She actually had her Italian twang and kind of had her attitude exude out there. So I was like, holy crap. Like, I could like instantly saw like, okay, she's got a tremendous upside, even more so than what she already had, because she can cut a promo. So I'm excited. I was like, I didn't see that coming out of Mandy Rose. But yeah, Sonya Deville's definitely getting her head shaved bald.
SummerSlam is really shaping up to be a cool card. I'm actually really getting excited for this, and this is one of those things. We had Alexa backstage. Nikki sees Alexa, even though she lost the Battle Royal, and Alexa doesn't look too happy to see Nikki, even though Nikki's trying to apologize. Sheamus defeats Shorty G. And then we get TNA 2006. We got Abyss and AJ Styles in the ring.
It was Joseph Park. All right.
I'm sorry. I accidentally added an S, and Travis called me out on Twitter. It's one Park, not.
Yeah, there's only one Park.
Oh, you got heat with me for saying the S too. So I mean,
okay.
Joseph Park. Park.
See, I didn't watch TNA, so.
All right. I think I'm out of here. No, I'm just kidding. You missed one of the best things in TNA. Brandon and I actually went to a TNA event in 2013, dressed as alter egos of Joseph Park.
Joseph Park and Abyss, yeah.
Yeah. No, there's no. Just Joseph Park. So Brandon wore a suit with glasses, and I wore a tracksuit, and I brought a towel.
Got you.
So yeah. I don't know why we did that, but hell, it was fun.
AJ's hired him to be the phenomenal.
It's spelled piss, damn it.
Yeah.
The acronym was piss.
The acronym was piss. And he's like, we're still working on it. It's statistics. They're using Steiner math. AJ Styles is number 1, and there is no number 2. Jeff Hardy comes down, wants a shot. We get more into Jeff Hardy's demons as AJ turns Jeff Hardy down. Jeff Hardy then attacks AJ Styles, and Joseph, leaves.
But he got punched too.
Yeah,
he got punched by Jeff Hardy. He took a bump.
I'm familiar with Abyss. I know that people were talking about it and said Joseph Park probably won't get involved. I would love to just get one Abyss match.
A Monsters Ball.
Yeah,
Jeff
one
Hardy
Monsters Ball.
versus
The Fiend changes, like feud AJ and the Fiend, and the Fiend gets his hands on Joseph Park and changes him, and he comes out as Abyss. We get a Fiend versus Joseph Park.
Well, you know they got to use a different name though, because you know
Fiend
how
versus
WWE
Abyss,
is.
Monsters Ball.
he's not gonna use a different name because the WWE's actually pretty good with that. Like, because TNA guys can actually they own their names, so they're allowed to use it elsewhere. So WWE can easily trademark the name Abyss if they wanted to now. Remember that. Remember, we did have EC3. Think about that. We had EC3 for all intents and purposes in WWE.
Yeah.
So people forget that just because of how shitty his run was. But that was a TNA character. Anyway, back to the point. I was excited to see Joseph Park. Now, was it me or like I was actually really like digging this segment? I was like, it was a lot better than it should have been. I don't know if that was because of Jeff Hardy, because of AJ Styles, or a combination of the two.
Matt he's not a Jeff Hardy guy like at all. You kind of just you stabbed him right in the heart.
I love Jeff Hardy. So Jeff Hardy's always been good.
How old are you, Kenny?
So I'm 31.
Okay, so you're about our age. I'm 33. Travis is 33. So I can't chalk it up to you. I know that the Young Kings podcast constantly verbally fillet Jeff Hardy. They did their own Throne episode where they gave Jeff Hardy his flowers and they talk about how great he is. And I really can't wait to go on there and just shit on Jeff Hardy like they did Bret Hart with Travis.
I love Bret Hart too. So
yeah, no.
They're just very disrespectful.
I've always been a Matt Hardy guy. Even he was always my favorite.
I hated Matt Hardy growing
always
up
been
too.
a Matt Hardy guy.
That's the funny part is like I hated Matt Hardy. I loved Jeff Hardy, but then somewhere along the way, circa 2002, when the V1 stuff came, it was like it flipped to me because I was like, Jeff was doing the same old shit. Matt Hardy was trying like really different shit, and I think that stayed until circa 2009 or 2006 actually, when Jeff Hardy came back to the WWE, and then it felt like he started stepping it up. So his run from 2006 to 2009, I give it to him. This run, not so much this, but I don't think that's his fault. He's been given some really shitty stuff. But this is why you don't like Jeff Hardy. Actually, it's kind of occurring to me. You never watched TNA. To me, Jeff Hardy's best run was in TNA. When he was doing the Immortal storyline, when he turned heel, I could have never told you Jeff Hardy was a good heel. He was bland. I hated him as a babyface. He turned heel, and I saw stuff from him. He called himself, like, just listen to the nickname. He called himself the Antichrist of professional wrestling, and it was like great stuff.
That was when he like really started leaning painting his face and shit, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
But the unfortunate part is that run is remembered for the end of it, which was when he showed up high.
I know about that.
Right,
that
everybody knows about that.
He wasn't just high; he was fucked up.
He was fucked, and I mean, he didn't know where he was. That was the end of that run. But before then, yeah, he was killing it, man. Don't sleep on Jeff Hardy. That really turned me around on Jeff Hardy.
Okay, I'll give you that, because for me, Jeff Hardy's always just been a guy who falls off stuff gracefully, and everyone praises him for it. Whereas Matt Hardy does the majority of the in-ring actual work to get Jeff Hardy to his high spots.
Get it. Yeah,
and
character work. Yeah,
character work, personality.
Yeah, but without getting too much into it again, the one person I'll compare him to, he was like a 2010 Raven.
Okay,
think about it like that, and Raven is amazing. So, anyway, back to it.
We got Chad apologizing to Riddle, and Corbin then comes up and attacks him from behind. And I call him Chad because Corbin called him Chad. So even though we're still supposed to be calling him Shorty G, he thanks Chad after Corbin takes Riddle out from behind. All that we need to remember here, ladies and gentlemen, is hashtag Ritter over Riddle. That's all that's important.
I'm with you.
We got Cesaro and Shinsuke having their belts stolen by Lucha House Party. We had Shinsuke versus Lindsay, and the return of Kalisto, who is ripped upon his return.
What was he doing while he was gone?
Shoulder injury, I think.
Apparently sit-ups. Lots and lots of sit-ups.
Of sit-ups. That way he could avoid them water bottles when he's laying down.
We got Alexa doing a backstage segment where she's being interviewed about Braun and Bray, and she talks about a relationship with Braun, and she's asked, would you ever consider, being in a romantic relationship with Braun? And she's like, I don't know. Maybe. I cared about him a lot. He cared about me a lot.
Past tense.
Fuck Ryan Cabrera. Braun's bigger. And then she says Bray, she sees his appeal because she is like a moth to a flame with Bray Wyatt now, which sets up our main event. But more importantly, before we get to that, Big E defeats John Morrison with some Retribution shenanigans mixed in there. Big E getting the win, getting out of the ring, and getting his face kicked off by Sheamus.
I like what they're doing with Big E. I do.
Okay. Because RM was flipping out about it.
Yeah, well, we've already talked about RN's opinion around here. But yeah, I like what they're doing with him because they're like, he's especially with this past show, like the one we just saw. Kind of like positioning him as that person who's kind of like, the one who's speaking up for the locker room, being that leader in the locker room with this whole Retribution. That's her name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. With that whole thing going on, he's the one that stood up and made this, spoke to everybody about it. Because this is the first time that the roster really, came together and talked about this, right? Like, yeah. And it was him. He was the leader of it. I don't know why the Sheamus thing, but okay. We'll see. But he's getting the wins. He's winning with something that I haven't really seen on television. Like he was the first person who I've seen on television win with a stretch muffler. So, like, cool. Something new.
They gave him a submission.
Yeah.
Kenny, thoughts on Big E?
I'm digging the Big E single push. I just want a little tweaking because when he did that promo where he was like, "Yeah, I remind you that I am the former Intercontinental Champion." Like when he was just a little tweak of, I don't want to say serious because I don't want Big E back to this. I don't want him talking stoic and serious. But I want him to get angry on some stuff. Of like, I want him to be like, you all think I'm happy-go-lucky. Need I remind you that I am a former Intercontinental Champion and I will whoop your ass. And it's just like, and then go back and then be like, but I digress. Just like, that would to me would be something good because it would be again a juxtaposition. You can kind of have him as a, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing. Which
I like that they're doing those though. By the way, not that they're like those little videos they do before people walk out. Like,
right.
I don't necessarily like the videos, but I like that they're doing the videos, if that makes sense, because it makes something that SmackDown does. It's a SmackDown thing. And it makes sense because it makes SmackDown something different than what those other two shows are. Well, and we talk about this all the time. Like, because, you're giving me this exact same show twice a week with different people. And it's just like, give me something different. And
it's like a Saturday night's main event from back in the day where it would do the quick promos and things like that. So I like it. I like what they're doing a lot with SmackDown. And I've been more critical of SmackDown than any other show. I hated SmackDown.
Us too.
And yet I feel like they're finally gaining momentum where I'm actually looking forward to watching SmackDown on Friday nights. Because usually Friday nights I'm like, I don't want to watch anything. This is my decompressed night, So they're doing it right. They're doing it right.
So I'm with you, and that's kind of I didn't say it as well as you did, but that's kind of what I was getting at last week, where I was saying I didn't know if the Big E that we had in the New Day was going to work the way it is for a singles run with the personality of just always being happy and over the top. So I'm with you on that, Kenny, because I'm in the same spot as we need, like you said, that juxtaposition. We can have one, but we need something else to offset it for when it is time to get serious. So,
right.
And then, so remember how you said, let things settle and play things out. Like, so when I get into my feels, about 3 wrestlers. Aleister Black.
Oh, you froze. What was that?
God
3 wrestlers.
The Undertaker, Bray Wyatt, and Aleister Black. Those 3 guys are where I get super, I guess, Stanish in a way. Like, I get in my feels with their booking. And I love Bray, and I love The Fiend as a wrestling and horror movie fan, as Undertaker being my favorite character. Even though Bray reminds me more of Mankind than he does the Undertaker, and the way that he presents it, which I also love, because that was one of the first feuds that I really fell in love with, was Mankind and Undertaker. Braun Strowman, obviously fan of the Smackin' Raw podcast, loves me on Pornhub, copped my entire look by shaving his head. Wanted to be like me. This monster Braun Strowman isn't working for me, and I feel like they could have had something cool, and I'll let it play out, but I feel like they're fucking it up by doing this version of Braun Strowman, having him come out, Alexa slapping some sense into him not caring, picking her up, walking her around the ring, acting like he was going to throw her out, and then having the lights finally go out as he military presses her, and then the Fiend showing up, and now he's supernatural, and he's gone, and he's on the screen, and then we spend 5 minutes of those two just laughing at each other, and the Fiend sticking his tongue out of his mask. Like this, I really liked where they were going until we got to the right after Alexa Bliss got attacked by the Fiend. Last week and this week, I have not liked with Braun saying he doesn't care about Alexa and the stuff they did this week. It's not working for me.
They always do this with Braun. When he starts killing it in one aspect, they like change him. If you people, need I remind you, when Braun Strowman was killing it as the monster among men and Get These Hands, they turned his ass heel and put him with who'd they put? I don't even remember who they put him with, Ziggler and McIntyre. They put him in a little stable. See, you don't even remember it because that's how shitty it was. They turned his ass heel. And then as soon as they turned his ass heel, they turned him right back babyface. And he'd already lost a little bit of momentum. It's the same thing. It's like you had something here. You got him back to his core. You had him win the title when he wasn't supposed to. But he was doing something good with Bray Wyatt. And then now you've turned him into a character that we don't want to see him as because there's so many people with that like stoic, like put it this way. Why would I want to see Braun Strowman do that character when I could see Bray Wyatt do it? And Braun Strowman, that's not what I want out of him. And even just the shaving the head, like I know he's going bald. All right. Well, we're all men here. We go bald. I get it. But the look worked for him. It worked for him to have the receding with the the little ponytail.
Mm-hmm.
It was his look. It worked perfectly. Like there was nothing that made me go like a Baron Corbin where I went like, yo, is that motherfucker gonna shave his head? It's like it worked for him. And then so they changed something for no reason is how I feel. Like it was a good thing and they should have left it alone. I'm with you
for the sake of change.
Right, change for the sake of change, and I'm with you. I actually do not have faith in this one.
So you just gave me a brilliant idea. When they inevitably do to Braun Strowman what they did to Big Show and they turned him into a joke character, if they had not had him shave his head, we could have had him do something with Paul Heyman where they have the same haircut and he dresses up and mimics Paul Heyman, like when Big Show dressed up as Hulk Hogan or the giant New Year's baby and all the awful things they did with Big Show. We could have dressed Braun Strowman up with that receding hairline as Paul Heyman.
Hey, he can still grow it back.
Yeah, he could. Kenny, SmackDown, spit or swallow?
I'm gonna give it to them. I'll say swallow, only because they made such a drastic turnaround from where they were before to me that it's like, all right, I'll fuck with it.
Okay, Travis.
Yeah, I guess I'll agree. Just because the SmackDown bar was already so low, it's just like it feels like now it's like, oh, this is so much better. It might not even be that much better, but it's just like I was just so happy that I didn't hate the show.
No,
Right.
I'm spitting because of that last segment. That last segment fucked everything up for me. That last half hour, 20 minutes, or actually it was only 10 minutes. That last 10 minutes ruined 2 hours for me completely. So I'm spitting that. Kenny, I think I know the answer, but what was your favorite show of the week?
Raw.
Travis. Yeah. I'm going to go NXT. I knew you guys were both going to go Raw. So officially, the best show of the week, as per the Smackin' Raw podcast, and Kenny, for your thoughts, is Monday Night Raw. Kenny, please let everyone know on social media, podcast platforms, where they can find you. Remind them that you will not be live next Friday, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I didn't even remember I wasn't gonna be live next Friday. But yeah, on social media you can find us Kenny for your thoughts. So AKFYT Wrestling on Instagram, on Twitter. Pretty much, I'm not even going to name the platforms. If you stream your podcast on a platform, I promise we're there. So just search at Kenny for your thoughts. We do live shows normally every Friday at noon on YouTube. Next Friday we will not, due to AEW. We're protesting because AEW's time slot was changed, so we're changing our time slot. So hopefully either it's going to be on Thursday next week, or it's going to be on Saturday. But definitely go to youtube.com/Kenny for your thoughts. Subscribe and set reminders, and then I will tell you. I'll do a post reminding everybody when we will be live. So yeah, we're on everything. We're on prowrestlingtees.com/Kenny for your thoughts. You can buy some t-shirts and stuff there. I got to make one for Brandon after today's episode where because I made him a custom t-shirt in 2014 and now he wants me to sell it to the masses. So
we're
yeah.
on Pornhub. Are you comfortable using the verbiage for the original shirt on Pornhub that you were not comfortable using this morning?
See, I could, but I feel like I would need permission from Travis to use it because it does use a certain word that I can't say. I feel. I'll say it just like that.
So it was a play on Bad News Barrett, but instead of Bad News Brandon, I think you guys can all put that together.
Oh, bad nigga Brandon?
Yep.
Big actually.
Oh, big nigga Brandon. Okay.
Yeah, so that was what the shirt was supposed to say. And he wanted to do it, and I was like, absolutely not. We are not going to Wrestle fucking Mania with that written on the back of your shirt, no less. So in other words, very accessible, because we were right, exactly, one. And two, even if we were let in, we were so not in a flex kind of way, but we were so close to the front that I'm like, I don't need fucking 60,000 people to be reading your shirt like that. So I made him change it to Black News Brandon. So that was my creative decision.
You know, sometimes you gotta, save your people from themselves. I have to do it around here all the time. So
Absolutely.
Well, that's why you guys should go check out a Kenny for your thoughts, is because they're actually similar but different to us. Whereas I do most of the talking on here, and Travis throws in his little jabs and talks shit about me. Kenny does both most of the talking and takes shots at Brandon on their show. And it's really entertaining and fun. I love your guys' dynamic. I've really been enjoying your show these last few weeks. I've been watching it. So definitely go check them out. You guys can find us on Twitter and Instagram at The Creation World. That is at the CREATIA World. That is the brand that brings you the Smackin' Raw podcast, the Super Flashy Arrow of Tomorrow podcast with Travis and Mara, and the Creation Conversation once a month, which is the podcast I'm not allowed to be on unless Travis isn't there. You guys can find Travis on Twitter and Instagram at Sir Cussalott. That is at SIR_CUSSALOTT. Me on Twitter only at Matt Ritter. That is at MATTRIDDER. Obviously, our Linktree/Smackin' Raw for all of your audio needs for our podcast, and Linktree/Creation World will get you YouTube. Go subscribe to the YouTube. We need more subscribers on YouTube. Go do it. I told Kenny that if we got 1,000 views on our YouTube video, I would not only give him one, I'd give him 2 massages, and I'd dress like Big Dick Johnson from the DX vignettes while doing so, and oil him up like Michael Nakazawa. So that's something you guys want.
Feed me a Cornish hen, because obviously my stomach needs to be satisfied as well as my loins. So the thing is, I need you all to get 1,000 views on this. Hell, I'll pay for the Google ad placement if not, because we're gonna get this done.
So definitely go check us out there. And of course, on
Pornhub, like I said, I'll film it so there's proof.
We are the #1 wrestling podcast on Pornhub, and we are happy to let Kenny make his debut. Our merch store and our Patreon is also there, so please go check those out as well. Again, Linktree/Creation World for that. And you guys can find us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Creation World gives you everything, but we have a group. It is Facebook.com/group/Smackin' Raw for your wrestling specific needs, and Facebook.com/group/Super Flashy Arrow for all of your DC CW comic book universe needs. Travis, you guys just recorded the last episode of Super Flashy Arrow of Tomorrow for this year, correct?
Correct. Well, it depends on what happens at DC Fandom next Saturday.
Okay. But Stargirl is finished, so you guys can go check that out. They just finished covering that. You guys got anything else? Did I cover it all?
No, we're good right now.
I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be on here. I don't go on a lot of podcasts, and that's no disrespect to everybody, but I only go on podcasts that I feel offer, a good platform, have a good audience, and just good vibes. Honestly, forget everything I just said. Just good vibes. If we can hang out and we can have fun doing this thing, I want to be on the podcast. So Thank you guys for having me, and hope you get to that 1,000 because my shoulders are pretty tense right now. So looking forward to that massage. Yeah.
I'm gonna start doing some Callisto sit-ups to get ready for that video. All right, for Kenny, for your thoughts, for Kenny and Sir Cussalott, Travis Pointer, I am the Warden, Matt Ritter. We are Smackin' It Raw, and we are the #1 wrestling podcast on Pornhub.
Peace.